Hey, everybody. This is Billy Polson from the Business Movement in San Francisco. And I'm psyched to be back with another episode of Software Show and Tell. And honestly, the man you're looking at helped me come up with the name for this. This is Perry Nunes from Found. Thanks, Perry, for coming in today.
Thanks for having me on, Billy.
Yeah, Perry, I'll let you actually kickstart. Tell us a little bit about what Found is and describe it to our users.
Sounds great. Yeah, so Found we built a free banking and bookkeeping app for small business owners and self-employed people. And so essentially
Cool.
what that means is we offer a business checking account with a business debit Mastercard, but then we built in a lot of these other tools to help you, solve all the needs for taxes, bookkeeping, invoicing, paying contractors, all in one app, so that you don't have to actually go and toggle between a bunch of different apps or have a bunch of different services to run the finances of your own business.
Excellent. That's great. All right. So, Perry, I've kind of told you how it goes. I'm going to put 15 minutes on the clock, and we're going to kind of go through each of those areas that you just described profound and try and tell our users as much as we can about it. All right. You ready to
Sounds
go?
great. I'm ready.
All right. Let's do it. So, first up, go ahead and describe a little bit how the organization of their banking accounts for their business banking accounts actually works on Found.
That sounds good. And I know this is show and tell, so I think I'll show you as I tell you. Um,
Excellent.
so Billy, this is the desktop experience of our app. We also have a really sleek mobile app that a lot of folks choose to use instead if they're doing finances on the fly. But as you can see, the kind of the first tab you see here is the banking tab, and so this is a full-featured online bank account. It'll have account number, routing number. There's a variety of different ways to add money by linking debit card, direct deposit, bank wire. A lot of folks are saying like, hey, I received money through Cash App or Venmo, so you can link those apps to your Found account. And then immediately you'll
Excellent.
see up top, you'll see the total balance in your Found account. So the total money that's been deposited into your business checking account. Immediately you'll see though that you can also organize kind of sub compartments of money within that same business checking account, which we call pockets. And so by default, all the money is deposited into your primary pocket. And by default, every Found account comes with a taxes pocket because, as and a lot of your audience knows, when you're running your own business, you have to be setting aside money for taxes and ideally paying estimated quarterly taxes to the IRS. And so, what the taxes pocket allows you to do is essentially set a percentage of all income into your Found account to be set aside for taxes. You can still touch that money, you can still transfer it into your primary pocket whenever you'd like, but it's a nice visual representation to kind of on autopilot, making sure you're setting roughly the amount of money you should be for taxes.
Excellent.
Um,
And Perry, is that something actually I'll do one step back just to make sure folks are really clear. So Found actually becomes your business account. It's not like you're linking this to like Wells Fargo or something. This is your business account, right?
That's right. Yeah, that's a really important distinction. There's a lot of folks when they set off to do their own business, they just run everything through their personal account. But ideally, like Found is where all your business income, business expenses happen, and so that makes it very easy to stay on top of how is your business doing, and then also makes things like taxes and bookkeeping way easier if you can do that right from your business account.
Excellent. And on the tax side, folks like myself that are in the fitness industry, we usually know very little about the tax side. So, does Found give advice on how much they should be putting away and how much to pay for their quarterlies?
Yeah, yeah. So what will happen is I mentioned you can set a percentage of all income to be set
Hmm.
aside for taxes. That's what we call a taxes allocation. So
Okay.
Found can actually provide a smart percentage that we believe that you should be setting aside based off of how much income you say you're going to make, what your filing status is, what state you're in, and we'll generate a smart percentage. That's an estimate of how much you should be setting aside. You can also
Okay.
opt to set your own percentage. If you're like, hey, I'm based in San Francisco in the state of California, I know that these are the state and federal income tax rates, and so I'm going to set my own percentage. Ultimately, we're not ultimately the IRS, and so sometimes there may be nuances there that are not exact aligned with that estimate, but it does provide a very good estimate for you to make a reasonable, a reasonably accurate estimated quarterly tax payment.
That's great. And so then, as those quarterly tax payments come due, Found does it remind you of it or automatically pays it? How does that work?
Yes, we do remind you, and then I'll just jump over to, we have a whole taxes tab where you
Hmm.
can essentially say, hey, here's how much money I set aside into my taxes pocket by automatically putting a percentage aside. Here's actually what my quarterly tax estimate is. You'll see this is often lower than this, and that's because as you categorize different expenses you're doing on your found card or from other sources, it'll lower your taxable income by saying, "Hey, this expense is a business deduction," and so therefore your tax estimate in found will be adjusted down, and then you
Excellent.
can actually make a payment to the IRS, a quarterly tax payment through found to make
That's
that
perfect.
you don't have to toggle to another app to do that.
Excellent. And actually, while you were talking about write-offs, let's talk about that a little bit. Is it something, yeah, how can Found help us with knowing what to write off as well as tracking those expenses?
Yeah. So the third tab we're clicking through here in nice order is the
Okay.
activity tab, where this is a transaction level view of all the income coming into your found account and then all the expenses, either on your found physical debit card. We also allow you to create virtual cards you can spend online, and then you can also add income and expenses from other sources. So you have another credit card, so you want to link things like QuickBooks, this or another financial app. You can import those into this activity log. And then
Mhm.
essentially what this allows you to do on the expense, the deduction side of the equation is you can set up rules. So for example, here Best Buy, this was I set up a rule that every time I'm at Best Buy, this is an advertising and marketing expense, and then it'll tell me by categorizing this $340 expense, you've saved an estimated $98.78 on your taxes.
I love
Um,
getting to see that. That's so
it's a
cool.
nice little dopamine rush while you're in your bank account. This one, ExxonMobil is an example of an expense that doesn't yet have a rule. And so it says it needs a category. So I can click in here. We have a couple popular categories here. You can create your own category or you can click more. And then we
Mhm.
actually have like a library of tax deductible expenses. Here it's
Hmm.
ExxonMobil. So it's going to be gas, car, truck, vehicle is the category. And then voila, you can create a rule that says when I spend on my found debit card for ExxonMobil, categorize that as car, truck, or vehicle. You can save
Excellent.
that rule, and then it'll apply that rule and show you that the estimated tax savings.
So good. Okay, so one last question on the tax side. Is this something will Found replace our need for an accountant or bookkeeper? Is this something we use in conjunction with it? What's your advice on that?
The answer is it depends. I'd say for a lot of like single owner, relatively simple businesses, the idea is this can replace an accountant or a bookkeeper, and
Excellent.
that it gets, the expense management, the tax estimate, the filing your taxes is all it all makes this way easier to do than just, using a spreadsheet on one end or using an expensive accountant. That
Mhm.
said, if you have an accountant you work with and you feel like your business has nuances that require an accountant, we actually do allow in the reports section for you to share this information with an accountant. And
Excellent.
so accountants love us because their clients are sharing them cleaned up, organized data. And then, business owners love us because it makes working with their accountant much easier.
Yep. Actually, this is something I don't think you and I talked about before. Does Found have a list of like recommended accountants for small business owners? Is there a network that you recommend for that?
It's something that we're kind of piloting right now. So it's funny that you asked
Okay.
that. So you can say in search of a professional accountant, and then we're in the early stages of building a network of recommended
Hmm.
accountants who know the way around Found.
Excellent. That's
Um,
awesome. I do
yeah,
feel like a lot of times it's just hard for people to find a trusted name, so that's great.
totally.
Hey, you know what, Perry? One thing we kind of like really lightly brushed over, I want to go back to. Can you talk to me more about what the pockets are?
Yeah. So pockets are we talked a little bit about the primary pocket and the taxes pocket. You can see
Mhm.
there's a couple of other pockets here. And so you can create several other custom pockets based off of different either parts of your business that you want to be setting money aside for, or even different savings goals. And so in the
Mhm.
case of boutique fitness owners and trainers, we see, hey, if people want to like own their own equipment, or if they want to invest in equipment for their business, they could set like a gym equipment pocket with a certain savings goal. And then you can automatic, similar to taxes, you can automatically set aside a percentage of all your income to go towards that pocket. And
Great.
so in this case, 15% of every income deposit is set aside for savings for the gym equipment. You also see one here called owner's pay. So if you want to have your business income come into Found, you want to make sure you're setting aside a percentage of your income to pay yourself. Then you
Mhm.
can set up an owner's pay pocket and do that accordingly. And then similarly, a rainy day fund here if you have like a longer term savings fund that you want to be kind of stockpiling over time.
Yep.
And the one thing
Excellent.
I'll say here with these pockets is this is compatible. I know a lot of folks have heard of the profit first methodology. This is compatible with that. And so if you wanted to
Mhm.
create different pockets for operating expenses, owner's pay, et cetera, and model that after profit first, we have a resource on our resource center, which I can share, which talks about how to do that using Found.
Excellent. And so on the payment side, as we're like, let's say we're a personal trainer, we're just getting checks from our clients, and sometimes those checks will be for 3 months, sometimes for a month. Is there an easy way that we can kind of pay ourselves on a consistent basis so our paycheck stays routine and like transferring like money to our personal account or something like that?
Yeah, thinking through that, my sense is, and we can share information about check deposit and how that works with Found
Hmm.
as well. But you would deposit checks and have that money ideally like, hit your if they are paying by check, have that
Yep.
money all kind of come into route that all through Found, so you can be setting aside money
Hmm.
for taxes, setting aside money for any other goals you have, and then paying yourself from the owner's pay pocket
Perfect.
essentially.
That's
And
excellent.
we'll talk on invoicing in a second as well. And I know that's probably a common way that folks are requesting payment from their end clients. And so similarly, we have an invoicing tab here where you can invoice your clients and then you'll get paid, and you can automatically, so you get paid $1,000 in an invoice. You can set up slice and dice that, so a percentage of that is set for taxes, for owner's pay, and for whatever other pockets you've set up.
Excellent. And actually, yeah, I want to go to invoices, but really quickly, retirement. So if that's one of the things that we want to kind of automatically set aside for, we can definitely make a pocket for it. Is there anything else you recommend on the retirement side that folks should be using it for?
We currently don't offer any sort of like self-employed IRA or a retirement account. That
Okay.
said, that's something that very much could be added in here eventually, and
Mhm.
I'll get to it later on. But essentially, for the products and services that Found has not built in ourselves, but that small business owners request, we've created this whole section called the Business Toolkit,
Hmm.
whereby we've vetted and established partnerships with other companies that are providing high quality products and services for small businesses. Things like
Hmm.
starting an LLC, finding business insurance, finding auto insurance. And so you can come in here and look at the different options we have, and then you click out and we'll actually can apply for those products on our partners' websites. So this is an
Excellent.
example where not confirmed by any means, but this could be a place where eventually there's things like retirement accounts, et cetera.
Okay, great. Awesome. All right, so we had about 3 minutes left. Let's talk about invoices. So tell me a little bit on the trainer side, especially some of us are subscription model. Some of us are accepting checks still, Venmo for 10 session packs. Tell me a little bit about how Found can help with organizing that.
Yeah. So on the invoicing side of things, we make it really easy to one, organize all your different business contacts. This could be all your different clients,
Mm.
or if there's people that you're paying, kind of subcontractors, you can also add those as business contacts. And then for clients, you can easily create and send either an estimate, so a quote for them to review, or an actual invoice with a link to pay. And so say here I want to send to Fitness Phil, which is one of my business contacts. I can set some pre-existing items to make this even quicker. And so in
Mhm.
this case, I believe there was a right. If I don't see if this $400 for client project is not what I want to be using, I can create a separate item. So say
Cool.
60-minute training session.
Mhm.
That's going to be $200, give it a nice rate, and then I can add a bunch of other information here on a note. I can attach other PDFs. To your point around a subscription, I can make this recurring if I'd like, where I send this
Awesome.
every week on a Thursday or
Yep.
monthly on a certain date of the month. I can make this, set the payment terms. This is due upon receipt in a week, in 2 weeks, and a month, and it will send reminders if we want there
Excellent.
to be reminders. And then there's a variety of different ways folks can can pay the invoice. So if they have a found account, they can do that instantaneously and for free. Or via Stripe integration, we allow credit and debit card, direct debit, and through Cash App Pay.
Perfect. That's great. Actually, let's talk a little bit about differentiators then. So I think probably most of our folks, at least here at Diacati, they have just the like a business checking account set up at a bank. What are the advantages for to moving to Found instead of just continuing with that?
Yeah, I mean, it depends a lot on like what is the status quo, but we hear that the status quo for folks is on one end of the spectrum, like using a personal account and using spreadsheets, and then on the other end of this spectrum, saying like using a business bank account with a big established bank that might have a bunch of like minimums or
Mhm.
fees or just a clunky user experience. And so we like to believe, even just from a banking perspective, we offer a very easy to use, simple, transparent banking app that you can use to run your business and run all of your business finances through. And then as we think about beyond just banking, you saw that we help you, we replace the need for a super expensive bookkeeping software or even to use an accountant. We allow you to make it really easy to stay on top of taxes. You don't need to use an invoicing tool or create your own invoices. So this kind of what we call like all in one, this ability to like condense 5 different apps or 5 different workflows into one and be
Mhm.
able to offer the bulk of that for free, I would say makes us really differentiated relative to other solutions on the market.
You mentioned the free pricing. Tell us just a little bit about pricing. I forgot to mention.
Yeah, so the majority of what I just walked you through, banking, pockets, categorizing expenses, setting aside money for taxes, that's all included as part of our free plan. We do have a paid tier subscription called Found Plus, which as of filming this in 2024 is 19.99, so $19.99 per month, or $149.99 per year. And that includes advanced bookkeeping features, priority customer support, earning interest on your funds, etc.
Perfect. So the free plan, totally free for most of the examples that you showed today, and they will not receive interest on the funds. And then the paid plan, they get the benefit of receiving the interest as well.
Yep, that's
Gotcha.
right.
Excellent. Cool. Perry, I appreciate it so much. Thank you so much for your time and for sharing this with us. Any final thoughts you want to toss out?
No, thanks for having me on. I will say that I recommend folks sign up for the app. It's free to sign up. It takes hopefully a few minutes, and you can start maybe sending your first invoice or categorizing your first expense before moving everything on over and start to see like incrementally how having everything in one place can make your life a whole lot easier.
All right, Perry, again, thank you so much. I'm psyched to share this with our folks because I honestly, taxes is such a giant bubble of questions for most folks in the training and the fitness industry. So I'm really excited to have this as an opportunity to share with them. Thank you. Have a great day, sir.
Thanks a lot. Thanks for having me on.
Thanks, Perry.